This week's parsha, we read the Bnei Gad and the Bnei Reuven, two tribes. Even before crossing the Jordan, we had conquered land. It was now ours. They saw it as grazing land. And they had livestock. So they asked that rather than take a portion on the other side of the Jordan, they'd like to stay there. They think that's their appropriate plot of land. So Moshe Rabbeinu gets all upset at that. He sees them as something of a continuation of the Meraglim, the spies. What convinced the nation that we'd never be able to conquer the land of Israel. Their description of the giants that dwelled here. It would take miracles for us to be able to conquer. And we would never be worthy of such miracles. The point they said that Hashem himself couldn't take us there. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu think that that was their issue? They knew the Jews were going to go across the Jordan and take the rest of the land. Just they felt that this land was more appropriate for them. So Moshe Rabbeinu thought that they weren't going to go fight. They were not going to join the conquest. They were just going to remain there immediately. What that means is that the root of the issue of the spies, the Meraglim, is the very root of what Moshe saw in them. He thought they didn't want to go fight because they were afraid of battle. The spies sounded like we couldn't do it. We'd never get in there. We'd be defeated. What made Moshe Rabbeinu think that they too were guilty of that? There was no hint to it whatsoever. Their underlying issue, as Moshe Rabbeinu himself phrases it, your brothers are going to go to war and you're going to sit back here, was that they were not willing to take responsibility for the Jewish nation. They found grazing land. Forget about everybody else. We're settled. We're okay. Moshe Rabbeinu sees in them that. What does that have to do with the Meraglim? The spies. Their problem was a lack of emunah, lack of trust. It would seem that the two must go together. Taking responsibility it's not just a matter of some people like taking responsibility, others don't. Responsibility is really heavy. How can you take responsibility? Who knows the future? We all believe that we can do anything. Is it responsible to take responsibility? All responsibility is based on trusting Hashem. An unwillingness, as Moshe Rabbeinu thought, to join in taking responsibility for the conquest of Eretz Yisrael. That in itself represented a lack of trust. If they truly believed that these were going to be miracles, they'd run to join. And in truth, that's what they wanted. They just happened to like this land and they wanted to settle down there, but join in the battle and the conquest. See, we're often accustomed to thinking that there are people who take responsibility for others and there are people who are selfish. I believe it is so built in the Jewish personality to take responsibility. Every Jew wants to be responsible. We are not selfish people. We don't feel good about ourselves when we're selfish. The natural state of the Jew is to be there for one another, to be there for others. The number one block is fear. The number one block is just not being able to have the confidence that Hashem is going to do this for us. It's fear or sort of giving up. The key is to know that if you do what's right, Hashem will be there for you. You want to make it happen, it's going to happen. We spent weeks now talking about leadership, giving exercises, opportunities. To get people, to get all of you really, to want to take responsibility. really become leaders. I'm sure that resonates well with all of you. I'm sure when you hear these words, something inside you comes alive. Every Jew wants to be a leader. Every Jew wants to affect change. Every Jew wants to influence another one. That's what we're like. So why doesn't every Jew become a leader? Because there's a fear. There's either a fear or even a skepticism. We'd love to, but we don't think we can do it. Hashem put us in this world for a purpose. And the purpose is to make a difference. Hashem put every one of us in the world at this point in time. There is so much that needs to be done. So we know what we got to do, and we really want to do it. What are we missing? The confidence that if you do what's right, Hashem makes it happen. Before the so-called tshuva movement began, no one thought it was doable. Imagine the world is full of opportunity, and you're going to convince people to give up everything and become observant Jews. That was not just a lack of trust that Hashem is going to help. It was a lack of trust that we've got the best product there is. No skepticism. Nothing to be afraid of. If you're ready to take responsibility, have no fear. So it may take more time, and it may take more effort, but it's going to happen. The spies, the Meraglim, kept a whole generation from coming into the land. They could have experienced the miracles then. Instead, they spent 40 years in the wilderness, experiencing different miracles. I guess it was a lesson in trust that they badly needed. Miraculous miraculous existence, an entire nation in the wilderness, an entire nation in the desert. What does it take to feed a people? What does it take to feed millions of people? The open miracle. So yes, they spent 40 years learning that they should have trusted. What a shame. They could have marched in triumphantly and seen open miracles instead. Take responsibility. You'll see miracles. You'll grow. You'll be able to do what you couldn't. No guarantee there won't be hardship. Of course, there are challenges. But we've got to trust. If Hashem created us as a nation of idealists and leaders, if He gave us that inner idealism where we're never satisfied. We're never satisfied unless we do something big. He wouldn't have given us that yearning and that need without being able to back it up. This has got to be on your agenda. This has got to be your goal. Wherever life takes you. You're going to make a difference to the Jewish people. You're going to reach anyone you can. That's what we're made of. And if that's the way Hashem made us, then if we make the effort, He's going to make it happen. The purpose of Bible stories is to learn from the mistakes of our ancestors so that we don't make them again. Get the message. Understand that your stay in yeshiva is to build you. And get you ready for making a difference to the world. Because every one of you is so needed. And Hashem is ready to help every one of you make it happen.